You got Trisha yet?
Gonna call her right now.
Okay.
See how she's doing.
Hello.
Hello again, Trisha. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you, Travis?
Doing okay. We're not on the air yet, so you know how this works.
Okay. Yeah.
Sport. So I could spell. I'd be okay.
You want me to spell it for you?
Oh, don't let Mike spell it.
Yeah. It'll be Trisha from the Equine Red Spot Harrises.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's when I'm bringing up the x-rays, right, Mike?
Right.
Okay, and you can hear Mike all right, and you can hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear both of you.
Okay, great. All right, we'll put you on mute. We can still hear you, but you will not be able to go over the air, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Mike, you ready?
Yes.
Get your mouth washed.
Mouthwash.
Get all the salivas out of there.
There.
Okay.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the best podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stein is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, we talk to Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sport Horses and the continuing story of Bucky. Also, to wrap or not wrap the legs of a horse, and also the elections for the IAPF are in, and we have the results. All this and much, much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, and over to my far hand side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
You look good. You got a little different angle on the video over there. I can't get the camera set up perfectly for you. I don't know, whatever. I look beautiful, by the way.
Yes, you do.
But on Mike's
You've
end,
not got so much to work with here.
well,
No.
But you look good. You look good, Mike. And it's freezing cold out there. Are you surviving the winter?
I'm surviving.
And at all times, one of the worst times to get a haircut like the one that Mike has. Now, don't forget, for every podcast we do on Equine Dynamics, you can see this video as well in real time as we're talking here on the air. Me waving to Mike, Mike waving to me.
I got my money's worth out of it.
Mike got his haircut, and he looks like you know who Laurel and Hardy is?
No.
You look
Yes.
you look like Laurel because your sides are really, really close, and then you've got like this split on the top of your hair. It looks like a toupee.
Well, I sat down and said cut it, and it got cut. And that's what ended up. So there you go.
And if you'd like to email Mike at any time, go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form there, and we'll send you out some magnets, some stickers. And Mike sent out a whole bunch of keychains, so I think those 10 keychains are gone. We'll order another set of 10, and we'll get you some here as soon as we possibly can. So you can still get yours in time for Christmas. Now, Mike.
Yes.
My wife is now doing double duty. When I say double duty, you know that we have Diego off the property. Diego's
Right.
our gelding, 4-year-old gelding, and he's off the property because we're focusing more on getting his development. And so he's over there on another property only because they have a covered arena. And you know we're going to get rain here soon. We're going to get snow probably here in the next couple days and here in North Carolina. And then we have Dominique. Dominique's our 11-year-old mare.
Right.
And she's going to be a brood mare. We're going to turn her to make her a brood mare. And my wife still has to ride her because she is getting fat. You know, she doesn't ride her as hard as much as she normally does. Well, my wife now is doing double duty. So she's riding the mare here.
Good.
And then driving across town and riding the gelding over there.
Right.
I think she's either pushing herself too hard and trying to get, the same results out of Dominique, which is the mare, as to Diego, which is the gelding. And so she's riding yesterday morning. She gets out there as soon as the sun comes up because we have an arena out there as well. And she starts riding Dominique. And she's out there for 45 minutes. Canter to the left, trot to the right, back to the left, switch stance, all the stuff that you do when you ride dressage. Something happened. Now, Mike, remember last week I said I turned around and my back locked up and I hit the ground?
Right.
Something happened with Dominique, and she asked Dominique to canter to the right. Something pinched her somewhere. She reared up and threw Amy again. Well, not again, but my wife fell off the horse again. So luckily she's fallen off this horse before, so she knows where to fall and where to tuck and where to roll.
So she's been testing out gravity to make sure it works.
Yes. And unfortunately, she hit the ground and everything was fine. You know, she had her helmet on. The horse didn't step on her or anything like that. But the horse kind of went through the same thing that I did, where she asked the horse to do a certain movement to a certain direction. And because of, I don't know the technical stuff of what's going on with Dominique. Can you fill me in a little bit of what she's got going on that might have caused her to pinch and go, oh my God, and rear up and throw Amy?
I don't know if she's not, she may be having some pain flare up in her SI. I don't know. It'd be worth checking out. She doesn't need to be going up in the air, and Amy doesn't need to be coming off. But we need to back up and think about what we're doing. And the mare had a few issues from years of being a mare, and
go ahead. And I was turning it off.
There's that. We need to look at. She doesn't have to be a show horse anymore. So we just need some fitness level, and we need to get the weight off.
Right, and that's what.
So maybe we adapt some of our work program to just a. We're going to go out, keep in shape, and burn some calories. We don't necessarily have to work on any kind of big maneuvers or anything.
And I said a couple things. I said, babe, what could have caused this? I mean, I'm thinking of, because I'm not a horse person. I just pay the bills. I write the checks. You know this, Mike.
Well, you're important.
Well, I said, let's think of this logically. Now, we've taken her boyfriend off the property. So do you think she's mad at her new boyfriend has now gone away for 3 months? Or is she mad because she had this nice, relaxed life, and now you're starting to push her a little bit more because she's getting fat? And she wants to be fat. Like you said, horses love to be fat.
Yeah, she wants to be fat and lazy.
And so I guess, so is it a combination of those? And then Amy's like, no.
Could be. I don't know.
Well, and Amy said, no. She had a pinched nerve. I could tell as soon as I asked her to go. She felt instantly that the horse reared up and off she goes rolling. So, So that's what happened with my wife.
Right.
I don't know if she's changed anything as far as like the saddle or anything like that. I don't know. That's what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to check her out a little bit, see if we can come up with anything.
So how have you been doing, Mike? You been doing okay?
Doing okay.
Anything exciting happened in the last 72 to 48 hours?
Well, tomorrow I've got a horse that is pretty eaten up with white line that we got to go deal with. I got a message the other day about the IAPF election.
Okay, well, hold on to that because we have I want you to announce whatever happened.
What happened?
I don't know. We'll announce that later in the show. That's what we call in the business a teaser, Mike. We're going to tease that as far as what actually happened.
Okay.
Okay. All right, guys, stick around for that teaser. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. Oh, and also stick around as well. Coming up next, we're going to talk to Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sport Horses and the continuing story of our very famous horse called Bucky. Stick around. You'll listen to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. Sorry, I had to throw you in there, Trisha.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, so let's bring these up so we can see this. Which one do you want me to start with? The picture. That one? That one? Or that one?
The first one.
Okay, we'll start with that one. Oops.
No, not that first one.
Too far on that.
One.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You ready, Mike?
Yes.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He is was the official farrier of the 2018 World Equestrian Games. And if you'd like to email Mike, the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contacts, fill out that little form there, and it shoots a question. If you want Mike to answer your question on the air, make sure you fill that out. Make sure you put a return address as well, because we'll send you out some magnets, some stickers. All the keychains that we got are gone, so we'll get some new ones out there, and you can get those as well. Just fill out that little form and get it to Mike Stein over at equinedynamics.com. Don't forget to follow him on Facebook as well. Oh, excuse me. False alarm. And also follow him on YouTube as well. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. And on the phone with us right now, Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sports Horses. How are you, Trisha?
I'm doing great, Travis. How are you?
Doing well. Now, refresh our audience's memory. You were on our show last season, and just give everyone just a breakdown of as far as who you are and where you come from.
Well, I'm a lifelong horsewoman that started out riding before I could walk, and been through a variety of different breeds and disciplines. But for the past 20 years, I've primarily been working with Arabian and half Arabian sport horses, primarily dressage, but I do dabble in jumping. And I also currently volunteer as one of the trainers for the Florence Area Humane Society for their equine rescue, and do a little bit of open horse show judging, have done some equine facilitated therapy, so a little bit of everything.
Sounds like you got a full plate there. Now, speaking of full plate, you had a horse named Bucky here recently, right?
Yeah.
Now, tell us about Bucky and what events happened this past, what is it, last week before? Mike, when was the competition?
When was the competition?
Which one?
Well, tell us about, first of all, tell us about Bucky and the problems you were having with Bucky, because we love Bucky. We always
love Bucky. Bucky's a very busy fella.
We always refer back to Bucky as that horse that likes to slide into the corners and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, Bucky, who his registered name is actually W.H. the Aga Khan, but he is a 17-year-old Arabian gelding. He belongs to and was bred by Whitehaven Plantation, Martha and David Lucas, who are good friends of mine that I worked for them for the first 13 years of my adult career. And so I've known Bucky since he was a baby. And he did spend a good deal of his life as a breeding stallion. But one of Bucky's favorite things to do as a stallion was to run the fence line, and he thought he was a reining horse. He would do sliding stops into the corners and then spin and take off. And apparently during one of those escapades as a 5-year-old, he fractured his navicular bone.
Now, Mike, we have pictures of this, right?
Right, we do.
All right, so let me switch cameras here, and you guys can see this video in real time as we're talking about it here on the show. And let me switch cameras, and the way you do that is go to Equine Dynamics.
And see, I brought my laser pointer so I can point at it, so now you can see it, right?
No, Mike, you're pointing at my monitor.
Well, I can see it on the monitor. Why can't other people see it on the monitor?
Well, hold on. You're pointing at your monitor. You have to point it at my monitor.
Okay.
Let me see the pen. Let's see if this works. All right,
so now everybody can see you pointing it at the monitor,
right?
Correct?
No, I don't see anything. I can't see it. I'll just use my cursor that's on the screen.
Okay.
All right, so Mike, what are we looking at here? This is Bucky's foot.
This is Bucky's foot.
And this is what Trisha was talking about. This is the break that happened, correct,
right.
Trisha?
If you slide your arrow a little closer towards the center, a little up, back out right there. That's the break in the navicular bone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is kind of a long, drawn-out story because, crazy as it may seem, some years back, I had a sit-down with Bernie Chapman, who was a big game changer and a lot of things in the farrier industry. Bernie had worked for Martha and David some years earlier on a horse with a broken navicular bone, and I met him when I was a young farrier at a convention, and got talking to him in lunch line. He says, "Come over here, we'll sit down and eat lunch together." And we did. And I asked him, well, he told me about coming to South Carolina. Are you coming back anymore? I'll come down there, or if you would let me. He said, well, no, I think I'm done with everything there. And didn't think about that for years. And some of Bernie's best advice to me was, he said, I'll sit here and tell you about all the successes I have had. I'm going to sit here and do you one better. I'm going to tell you about the screw-ups we've had and the problems we've had and worked around, and don't be scared of diving into something because it'll teach you something. Don't be scared of the hard situations. And this was a hard situation. Some years later, end up down here with David and Martha, end up working at Bucky, and Martha says, we hired the best of the best. Some years back when we had a horse with a broken navicular bone, we brought in Bernie Chapman from Texas. And so I worked in the same grooming bay that Bernie worked in some years later. Now, that was kind of a cool story, And
now, Trisha, this break on Bucky, would this be considered a life-ending or career-ending break?
It is a career-ending break. That horse that Mike was referring to was Ruminaja Fayez. He was the Lucas's up-and-coming champion caliber stallion, and his bone had shifted before Bernie had gotten a chance to work on the case. Long drawn out story, but the bone had shifted, and they never could get that horse 100% sound. He was still a breeding stallion, but he never had a riding or show career. So for Bucky as a 5-year-old, he had just started under saddle. He did not have he was a national champion in on the ground in hand, but had never been shown under saddle. And this was conceivably a career-ending injury. And of course, for a breeding stallion nowadays, they need to have a performance record to be popular, to be successful. So this could have been the end for him. He still would have had a pain-free life most of the time, but it was pretty serious.
So now Bucky's got this broken navicular bone. Am I saying that right? Navicular bone?
Navicular bone, yes.
So you're thinking the horse is done. No more horse, no more Bucky. He's just going to be either. Is this I said career ending. Is this life ending as well?
No.
Okay.
No. He could have been managed. It could conceivably have shortened his life if eventually they develop arthritis. A lot of important tendons, ligaments tie in to that bone and in that area, and you can start as arthritis develops or as it heals, you could end up with some very painful conditions that might have shortened his life down the road.
So Bucky's broken this navicular bone, and how long? I mean, what's the next step? Do you say, okay, we're gonna put a cast on him, or we're just gonna not fix him? And is that where Mike and everyone jumped in and fix this horse, I guess is what I'm saying?
Well, first thing we did was we had the vet in there. We're trying to figure out what's going on with him because he's a little off, and it came time to shoot some x-rays, and it's like, okay, here we go. And then it's time to start moving on how to manage the situation.
Now, this picture here, is this the same, just not as a good quality?
A different shot from a different angle.
Okay. And these are the cracks right here that my cursor's on, right?
Or that on right where you are, yes.
Okay.
And, I've been working back and forth with Doc Redden for some time, and I think Trish got online and you spoke to a few people on it, got some real good advice, like, oh, no.
Retire him.
You retire him.
Basically, we had one of the best vets in the area working on him, and she made her recommendation. She said, you know what, let's do what we can. There's been a lot of advances in medicine. And she made her recommendations, and then she said, who's going to be shoeing the horse for you? And I said, well, Mike will be. She said, whatever Mike wants to do. She said, I bet he's seen this a bunch more than me. Let him do what he thinks needs to be done. So she made the recommendations for his stall rest, any medications we needed to do, what his rehab would be. And then we deferred to Mike on what to do to shoe it. And
yeah, in my career, for some strange reason, I've seen more than one navicular fracture. The very first one I ever ended up dealing with was on a racehorse that was in breeding, and the ends had broke, similar positioning, but then the bone had offset like this.
And you can see Mike; he's doing hand signals on the video. So if you want to watch Mike, do pantomime over there.
So the end it had pulled up, the ends had offset, and you've got pressure from the deep flexor, where the deep flexor tendon goes around it and uses that as a cam point. So, with that horse, did it heal up? Yes. Did we get him sound? No. Was he covering mares for the rest of his life or useful life? Yes, he did. And but in walking, he looked fine. But when he trotted out, he looked not so good. And I've done a couple of this is not something a farrier and a vet is going to see very often. But I've done some others that we've gotten back to be riding horses, but some of it is getting in there at the right time before anything shifted.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to find out what actually happened to Bucky, and it's on the positive note of the actual results of everything. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. Trisha, are you okay?
Yep, I'm good.
Mike, you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay. I got my laser pointer so I can point at the screen so everybody can see where the laser pointer is pointing.
It doesn't work that way.
I can see it on the screen. They should see it on the screen.
Not unless I put a camera in front of it.
Oh.
It's just a shame you don't have any cats in the studio, because then they'd be having a blast with the laser pointer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we could have brought Travis's cats up here, and we could be working the cats into the situation.
God knows I got enough rogue cats floating around this property. And we name them, too. Well, I told my wife never to name the cats, and then she started naming them. I'm like, pretty soon we'll be feeding them. Sure enough, we're feeding them. And pretty soon after that, we need to take this one down to the vet because it's got mites in its ears. I'm like, no, not. That's where I draw the line. These are not my cats. Not my cats. All right, we're going to come back and wrap up the story with Bucky. And Mike, you're making me nervous. He's taking the laser pointer and flashing it on my paper over here, and I can't read.
I'm going to see if he'll chase it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to switch cameras here for a little bit. Just kind of break up the monotony. Trish, you ready?
I'm ready.
Mike, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll put the laser dot on it.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He was the 2017 American Eventing Championship Farrier. And for every podcast we do, we have a matching video. Go over to YouTube and search for Equine Dynamics Mike Stein. And make sure you like and subscribe over there. Mike, your numbers are jumping up higher and higher and higher every week, and you're getting more and more views, more and more subscribers.
Wow.
And maybe you should do that light pen and see if you can drive some people to your YouTube page as well.
Okay.
And on the phone with us over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Put that pen down. You're making me nervous. And on the phone with us, giggling in the background, is Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sport Horses. How are you, Trisha?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Travis.
Now, we were talking about Bucky, and he's an Arabian. What type of horse was Bucky again? I'm sorry.
He is an Arabian.
An Arabian, okay. And we were talking about he broke his navicular bone trying to be a badass, trying to run around and show off. And so this was a career-ending break. Now, you called in Mike. Mike teamed up with his professional group of people. And tell us the end result of what actually happened. Now, I'm going to switch cameras to camera 6 here so you can see the actual break in the bone here. And then I'll switch to the actual x-ray of what happened afterwards. Mike, go ahead.
Well, Nicole had come in. She shot the x-rays from multiple angles, so we had a good, clear image of exactly where it was. And then we have to start thinking about, okay, let's get the pressure off of it, right?
Right.
So I ended up using a Red and Ultimate boot, which I'm pretty adapted to normally use it with a laminitic horse. And to stabilize the back of the foot, I didn't want it collapsing in or under. I actually attached the back of the heel to the boot itself. Mm-hmm. Kind of used some heel springs, turned around backwards, and put a little pressure out, opening the heels just a little bit, and then shot some anchors into the back of the boot and anchored to it because I didn't want any of the back of that foot shifting and possibly pushing that out of place. The other thing was bringing up that angle and with the boot, modifying it so we have a lot of medial lateral breakover, a lot of forward breakover, even further than what normally comes on the boot. When he did move, we wanted him to kind of roll across it, and we wanted to eliminate the pressure from the flexor tendon, because if something's going to displace that bone, it's going to be pressure torquing against the flexor tendon.
So what is this picture, this x-ray right here that we're looking at? Is this the end result of everything?
That was the last x-ray you were sent, correct?
Yes, the 2018.
2018. Well, the bone is solid enough. You could see where the break is.
Yes.
Still. And, he's had a riding career. He's done shows. He's recently been in the little dressage series.
So, Trisha, now that Bucky has this healed bone, tell us the results of what he's been doing the last couple years.
So, Bucky kind of had a really interesting life after the break, but he came back 100% sound. He had a lot of on and off time. He developed some bad riding habits. Excuse me. I've been retraining him for the past 3 years. We did geld him in 2018, and I've just been doing some mental and physical rehab with him, and he came back to being a very wonderful, very happy trail horse. But I'm a dressage person, and I needed a second horse to show. So I started playing around with him in the dressage arena again, and he really started to come to work and seemed to enjoy what he was doing. So we decided to do the local schooling show series. We went to the Union County Saddle Club and entered their schooling show series at training level. he won his very first class out in February of last year.
All right.
I think like a 67% shock to all of us.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then he kept doing well. We've had to deal with saddle fitting issues and bit fitting and all this stuff. I think I finally have a saddle that fits him 100% now. But even through all that, he just kept coming to work and enjoying his job. In October, we went to the South Carolina Dressage and Combined Training Association has a schooling show championship every year in Camden. So we went there. He was a little nervous in the new facility, so it wasn't his best score ever, but he still was the reserve champion training level in the open division. And then we did our final show at Union County. He scored in the 70s, and he managed to finish out the series as the training level adult open champion for the entire series.
Well, congratulations to Bucky. Yay. Good job.
Yeah,
Good job all the way as far as everyone getting the horse back up and running, get the horse back up and fixing, and then Trisha just sticking with him and keeping him, nose to the grindstone and not giving up on him. A lot of people would have given up on him.
Well, there was a period in there where Trish was working at a rehab facility. What were you there about 4 or 5 years or so?
I was we were up 3 years.
3 years, okay. But Bucky was kind of out of your hands as far as management and all that at that point,
right?
And now coming back and going back through some retraining, getting Bucky back together, and Bucky was very, very happy hanging out and being a bum. But there was some retraining.
You say that like it's a bad. You say that's like it's a bad thing.
Well, no. So things had to be readdressed,
right?
And so you kind of go back to ground zero and work your way up. And the time was taken, and the patience was there, and here he is.
All right, guys, we're gonna take Trisha, you want to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say it took a total of 2 solid years of working with Bucky mentally and physically, not necessarily because of the navicular bone, but just for his attitude to get him where I thought, and there are many times I had him for sale and for lease numerous times as a trail horse. And then it took about 2 to 3 years of working with him and just chipping away and listening to him and figuring out what it was he wanted to be happy and successful. So like Mike said, it takes time, but it's worth it. He's my best buddy now. I've got his brother and who I bred and raised, and the two of them, I call them my twins. We go everywhere together.
Awesome. All right, guys, stick around. We're going to take a short little break and come back, and we're going to talk about to wrap or not to wrap, and that is referring to horses' legs and their support boots. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back. Awesome story.
Yeah, Bucky's been great. He really, and I took him to a lesson with my trainer recently, and she's seen him before, but not in about a year, and she was super impressed with him. And we're moving up a level this year and might even make it to some of the bigger shows, depending on how I am financially.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He is now a licensed thoroughbred farrier through the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission. And if you'd like to ask Mike a question, or if you'd like Mike to come out and perform a clinic at your event or your location, go to equinedynamics.com. Fill out the form at the top of the page. There's a clinic section. Mike will pencil you in and get you on his schedule. And also, if you'd like to ask him a question, contact us. Make sure you put podcast in the subject line and put a return address, because we'll send you out some magnets, some stickers. Magnets. I always say magnets.
Magnets.
They're
not maggots, magnets.
4x4 magnets that you can put on your refrigerator or your car if you want. And over to my far right side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis.
And on the phone with us right now, we also have Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sport Horses. Sport Horses. Is that it? Am I saying that right? Sport Horses?
Sport Horses, yes.
Okay. Trisha, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Travis.
Now, we're going to talk about to wrap or not to wrap. Getting close to Christmas time. Are we putting wrapping paper on the horses? What are we talking about when you're talking about wrapping a horse and put a big bow on top? What are we talking about, Mike?
Well, there's been some discussion going around about some of the support boots, and boots are used for interference, for legs hitting, for tendon support versus your good old-fashioned hand-done wraps. And there's been some talk about the boots and possible damage.
Now, my wife puts on these what they call bells. Is that a term when she
We're not talking about the bell boots. We're talking about more something that'd be more of a tendon support.
Oh, okay. Almost like an ace bandage type deal. You can tell how
We can use ace bandages, yes.
naive I am about this. So, is it like an ace bandage? For
well, there are some boots that are made. They're kind of a generic fit that Velcro on, and there's also wraps that you would use like an ace bandage, and different materials that have been used over the years. A lot of the modern boots are more neoprene, which hold in a lot of heat, and that's where some of the question is as far as the heat. And some of the newer neoprenes seem to actually hold in more heat. They're starting to make some boots that are supposed to be a little better as far as the temperature.
Now, wouldn't you want heat on your tendons to keep them loose? I mean, you always see like the baseball pitcher. He only in a cold season, the pitcher only puts his right hand or whatever his favorite arm. This is my favorite arm. Whatever pitching arm that he uses into a jacket, and that's the only sleeve that he keeps warm. You would want to keep those tendons hot, lubed up, in my opinion. So why is it so wrong to do that?
When you hold in too much heat, they seem to be getting some breakdown, is what I'm hearing as far as tendons and ligaments.
Like cooking them?
Cooking them. Let's go with that.
Okay.
But like Trish said, and I've watched people with boots. I've seen boots that are flopping around on the leg. I've seen boots that are snug on the leg. I've seen people do hand wrap jobs. Some of these track grooms do a wonderful job of wraps. And, not knowing how to wrap correctly, boy, that can be a real problem.
Now, Trish, do you use wraps or any kind of support boots on the horses that you deal with?
I do. I wear, I use, brushing boots for the horses when we're working out on the trails or in wet conditions, or I use polo wraps the rest of the time.
Now, you don't leave them on 24 hours. You only put them on when the horses are working, right?
Yep, only when they are working.
Now, Mike, are you referring that people are wrapping the horses' legs and leaving them on for a 24-hour period?
Well, this is more something talking about working horses, because there's plenty of times if you got a leg injury, tendon injury, where you use standing wraps, and I think the standard with that is use a 24 on, 24 off. But that's a different situation from a horse working in them. And the concern is overheating tendons and ligaments with some of these boots that hold a lot of heat. Now, I work with a lot of 3-day event horses, and some of them are going to wear brushing boots and stuff like that to protect their legs from damage. And, some people, well, because of the study, I will never put a boot on. Well, there's times you should. And how do we handle that? And that's kind of where we're going with this.
And that's what's happening is there have been some studies recently showing that boots and bandages increase the heat to the tendons and ligaments, which I'm sorry, anybody that's ever wrapped a horse in the summer in South Carolina, that's a no-brainer. You know that their legs come out sweaty and hot. So yes, there is a good thing coming from these studies that new boots are being invented that have more airflow and are going to prevent the horses from basically overheating the legs. However, just as what happens with so many other things in social media, these studies are being put out there and people are jumping on the bandwagon of, I would never wrap my horse. It's bad for them. It's cruel. It's inhumane. It causes tendon damage.
See, I would probably never wrap my horse because I know I'm not very good at it.
Right. And that's the very first thing is, number one, these studies are only proving that there's an increased heat. They don't take into consideration the fact that who's putting the boots and bandages on? Do they know how to do it correctly? And are they applying them correctly? What nutrition does a horse get? Have they been fed correctly over the years of their lifetime to develop stronger tendons and ligaments? Who's shoeing the horse? I've seen horses that are barefoot with no wraps being put on them, being applied, have tendon and ligament injuries because their feet are out of balance. Who's riding the horse? Are they pushing the horse beyond their fitness levels and capability? Is the rider crooked? There are so many variables that come into what causes a tendon and ligament injury, and people aren't taking those factors into account. They're just jumping on the bandwagon that boots are bad because they increase heat.
So, Trisha, here's my question. As a simpleton that I am, I wear compression socks, and they make my feet and my lower extremities energized. They feel like they don't get tired, they don't get sore. Is there anything like a human version of compression socks that you can put on a horse? Because my legs don't get hot. You know, there is plenty of airflow in there, but my feet themselves, like I said, they feel more energized. I can walk longer in the yard, and walking on this big property of ours, you know, I appreciate being able to walk all the way to the back side of the property and not be tired by the time I get up to the front side of the property. Is there anything that horses have that would replace, you know, wraps, or a better choice instead of putting wraps on, like a compression sock?
There's nothing like a compression sock because of the way horses don't have any muscle below their knees and hocks. It is purely tendons and ligaments, which is one reason why they're more liable to become injured. They don't have the meaty support of a muscle down there. But there is a product called Back on Track, which is, they have polo wraps, they have support wraps, all sorts of things that the fiber is ceramic infused. The material is ceramic infused. So it actually reflects your body heat and energy back into the leg or whatever part of the body. I have a saddle pad that I use. So it helps to increase circulation and warm the muscles without overheating them.
Mike, have you seen these before?
I have. And I tell you, really, you know, some discussion I've had a couple other places looking at some of the old boots that were more natural materials, and they probably breathe better. And it's like, you know, fleece lined boots. Do you ever see them anymore?
I still see them occasionally.
Yeah, and, you know, with natural materials, you know, the leg's able to breathe better. Or cotton, but when you start throwing some of these synthetics in there, it doesn't breathe, and I think that's where some of them are squalling about the problem. But on the other end, you know, some of these horses that are going on a big, long, hard cross country course, it does not hurt. I don't think it hurts to protect them, as long as you know you're doing it the right way or as best you can, because there's a catch-22 on that, and also, you know, some of what I think I'm seeing more and more, and you can tell me I'm wrong, you usually do, but it seems like...
No, I'll wait for you to say it, and then I'll tell you you're wrong.
It seems like, okay, let's go back to Bucky. You took how long to bring him up to fitness level to think about competing?
Exactly. 2 years. He could have done it in 2 years, then I busted my back. So it actually took him 3 years before he made it to his first show.
Right.
And that was at training level, at the lowest level.
But there seems to be a lot. I want to do this like right now. And the prep time's not in there. The quicker we got to push them into things, the more injuries we're going to see. The people that I work for that have been in this long-term and very successful, they understand. But it's like the old thing about, you know, there's a lot of people with horses, but we don't see many horsemen, and the number of horsemen is fading away, and we want the instant gratification.
Exactly.
All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we have the results of the IAPF elections that happened this past week, and we'll dive into that here when we come back. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He'll be right back.
Part of the results.
Well, they don't know if there's a part or one. Or Trisha, are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Okay.
Heidi.
Mike, you all right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll say that. But we know better.
Yes. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Trish, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein, the best podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stein is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. And make sure you follow Mike Stein over on YouTube. You can see all the videos here that we do here in the studio. For every podcast we do, we have a matching video. Make sure you like and subscribe over there as well. And feel free to comment on any of the videos. We have a couple people out there, and we try to respond to as many of those as we possibly can, and we appreciate those. And we'd love to hear from you as well. And the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com, fill out the little form there. It says contact us. You have a question for Mike or anything just in general, we'll read it here on the air. Make sure you put a return address and we'll send you out some free stuff. And over to my far right hand side is Mike Stein. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing?
Doing good. I see you put the pen light down. Are you fine with that, or your pen laser pointer?
I'm going to try to see if I can get you to chase it.
And on the phone with us right now also is Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sports Horses. How are you, Trisha?
I'm great. Thank you, Travis.
Now, Mike, tell us about the IAPF. We had a couple of the...
Yes, we did. We had Lester and Todd on here.
Right, and they were on what was it, 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, yes.
And at the time, they were losing a board member, or they were shifting the board members around?
Shifting board members around, and there was an election in process.
So what you're saying is that there was an open seat.
There, every other year, there are a couple of open seats.
Okay,
yes.
so, and you put your name in the hat, or did they put your name in the hat?
Well, I had a little arm twisting, but I put it in there.
Okay, and so you've done your campaign. You traveled
all over the country,
all over the world. You were shaking babies and kissing hands.
Right? Yes, exactly.
So
I promise a chicken in every pot if you can afford to go buy one.
Right, and so we now have the results. So do we have good news or bad news, Mike? You want to tell us what's going on?
Well, we have news.
And the news is
life has changed.
For who? For me? For you? Or just life in general?
Life is changing every day. But I will be on a call tonight. Seems like there's going to be a couple of meetings a month.
So you won. You won the seat.
Well, yes.
Well, good. See, that's what I had that for.
Ah.
Well, congratulations, Mike. Now your life is never going to be the same again.
Well, it's never the same again the next day anyway.
So you said you've got a call coming up, and as your first order of business, Mr. Chairman, Board of the Seat of Directors of the IAPF, what is your first goal, your first task that you're going to accomplish? You can tell I'm like a news reporter here.
My first task is to figure out how to get on this phone call meeting tonight.
Oh, is that your biggest challenge?
Right now, yes. Okay. And that I'm not going to go past that because I think what the deal is going to be kind of a blended board until the year, the official meeting in January at the International Healthcare Summit. And I may be wrong. I'm learning as we go. And I think Trish will tell you as far as the IPF and what their goals are during my involvement. And I think you'll see this with a lot of farriers because they are so focused on further and ed for your career and making it available. It's opened up some doors for me business-wise because of learning and bettering yourself. And it's, as far as horse owners, they need to keep this in mind and understand it it is out there. And if you're looking for a farrier, call or look up professionalfarriers.com. And if you go to laser dot, you can point at the screen with a laser dot.
Now, Trisha, I know everyone tries to keep their vote confidential. So I'm assuming that you are in favor of Mike taking over the seat on the board?
Oh, of course.
Okay. And now, I don't know if you know this or not. You probably do. I didn't know this, but you don't even need to be a farrier to be part of a membership. Is it to be a member of the IAPF?
We have veterinarians that are involved, I know, and we have some farriers that are involved that are both vet and farrier, and I think we've got some other people involved in therapy.
But it is open to the regular horse owner that's out there as well, correct?
Well, they're putting out or working on putting out information directed towards the horse owner.
So it's a work in progress.
Everything's a work in progress.
So this is part of your board being on the.
Part of what we're going to be doing is getting more education to the horse owner, because the best thing for the horses and the best thing for the industry to step it up and make it better is horse owners having real research-based knowledge. There's a lot of stuff that flies around out there that, like we said on social media, that somebody ran off with and came up with a theory, and it's their theory, and we're looking at facts.
Now, Trisha, I don't know. I know you're probably part of a whole bunch of different corporations and a whole bunch of memberships dealing with equine world. Is this something that you're part of or interested in being part of?
It's not something I'm part of. I basically keep tabs on it through my farrier. And it's partially because to compete, I have to be a member of so many different organizations that I'd have to be independently wealthy to join everything.
Well, you need to just become independently wealthy, and it won't be a problem. But
yeah, exactly.
it's like down at Florence at the rehab center, we ended up bringing another farrier because the volume of horses brought in a younger farrier who is very involved in the IAPF, and I think that the fact that he is educated himself has made him very valuable to have around, and Oscar's done a good job.
Exactly.
And he's continuing learning, and that's the way all farriers should be.
All right, guys, stick around. We got one more little segment, and we'll let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. You listen to Equine Dynamics with the newly elected IAPF Chairman Mike Stein. Stick around. We'll be right back. Right now, that's one more other thing I got to add to your list of stuff I got to say.
Right.
I've got to no, Trisha, really, I have in front of me when we do the show, I have what I call like a cheat sheet, and it's a breakdown of everything that we talk about on the show and topics and stuff. And at the bottom of the sheet are all Mike's qualifications. So as you know, when I come back from break, I got to fit one of these in there, and now I got to add this one to his list of. Look at him; he's all smug looking at me over there. He's just like, "Yep, you sure do." IPF, and what's the actual title, Mike? Chairman.
I don't know yet. I'll know tonight.
That's not a chairman. It's board member.
Board of directors. Board seat.
Board seat. Board member. I like board member. Board seat sounds like something on the outhouse that you would sit on.
And you might get splinters.
Yes. The newly elected. Newly elected. We're doing this in real time here, so magic ain't to happen. Newly elected. Elected. How you spell elected, Mike?
You know.
Elected.
You want me to pick up my laser dot?
No, I'm good. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Trish, you ready? Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stein. He is now a IAPF board member, newly elected. And if you'd like to reach out to Mike and contact him at any time, reach out to equinedynamics.com. And make sure for every podcast we do, we have a matching video. Go to YouTube, like and subscribe over there. And also on Facebook. Mike, again, you're posting, whoever's doing your Facebook page, I know it's you. You're posting all these great articles up there. And every time I see something, I look and I read and I'm like, that's very interesting. I didn't know that. So keep doing what you're doing over on Facebook as well. And that is Mike Stein over to my far right-hand side.
Hello, Travis. And hello, Trish.
And on the phone with us also is Trisha Dingl from the Egyptian Rose Sports Horses. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing all right. So what did we learn today with the continuing story of Bucky? Mike?
Getting the team together and working together and not waiting until it's a mess, but these navicular fractures, if you catch them in the right stage and do the right things, they can come back to good, useful lives.
Trisha?
I would say patience and just taking your time and being willing to think outside the box. Because Lord knows we had to do a lot of different things, both with the shoeing and in my training approach with him to bring him back to a solid citizen.
Well, according to what you've said, the results have been outstanding or even more better than expected. So congratulations on that achievement as well. Also, to wrap or not to wrap the horse's legs. Mike?
Learning how to wrap correctly is a
start.
Big plus.
That's a start.
Big plus. And also looking at the type of materials you use and when and why.
Trisha?
I basically am just going to agree with what Mike said. That, there are certain circumstances where it is beneficial to the horse, but make sure you know how to do it and that you're doing it correctly.
And Mike, since you've been elected to the board members, or you're now a newly elected board member of the IAPF, the International Associations of Professional Farriers, where do we go from here as far as you being on the board? Do you have a plan of attack? Do you have a list of stuff? Now, you're worried about this phone call that you got to do tonight, whether you can physically figure out how to get onto it.
Make the phone call. We're going to start seeing what's going on. I think the reason they do it like they do is so you're kind of blended in and start getting into the system, and you're not coming in completely cold when you become official. So I've got some learning to do and figuring out what's going to be expected.
Well, any of us here at Equine Dynamics with you, can help you in any way, just let us know.
Well, we're going to let you know, Travis.
Okay, thanks. And Trisha Dingl, how can our fans and listeners find you?
Oh, do we actually want them to find me?
Well, I don't know if there's any kind of organization that you'd like for our fans and listeners to follow up on.
So my email is ersporthorses@gmail.com, and I do have a Facebook page that is Egyptian Rose Sport Horses that I try to keep up to date, information, educational articles on and whatnot. Definitely encourage everybody to check out the Florence Area Humane Society. That is the rescue I work with down here in South Carolina. It's primarily thought of as a small animal rescue, but we have a dozen horses on the farm that have been neglected and abused, and we could use foster homes, we can use donations, we can use knowledgeable horse people that are looking for a great companion animal, or occasionally get some good riding horses here too. So
now my wife,
check that out.
My wife actually volunteers for the local rescue that we have around here. What's the actual chapter that you guys qualify for what's the word I'm looking for community, not community service, but yes, you are doing somewhat of a community service. Is there a chapter like 14, chapter 9, post 11, 12, whatever it's called?
No, SAHF is a private entity that works with, basically started out as a small animal rescue that works with Florence County and the surrounding areas down here. But there is a large need for equine help in our area. So it's officially called Hands Helping Horses, and that's the kind of division of Florence Area Humane Society.
Gotcha. All right, guys, on that note, we're going to let you get back to enjoying the rest of your day. On behalf of Mike Stein over there,
have a good day.
And Trisha Dingl on the phone.
It was great talking to you, Mike and Travis.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week. All right, we're clear. Trisha, thank you very much. How are you? You doing all right? You did a great job. Great job.
Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, Mike, you doing all right over there?
I'm all right.
Trisha, what do you got planned for the rest of the day? Anything?
Oh, I got to go to work.
Nah.
I'm going to point at stuff with my laser pointer.
I'd rather do what Mike's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go to my paying job, which at this point is not a bad thing because it's indoors as opposed to being out in the 35-degree temperatures right now.
Yeah, I know. All right, Trisha, we're going to let you go. Thank you for being part of the show.
You're welcome. Anytime. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye. Bye, Mike.
Sorry, cut her off there. Good job, Mike.
Yep.
And congratulations.
Yeah. Thanks.